Hi everybody, Jeff Martins here, and I'd like to talk to you about twists. In particular, I'm going to talk to you about one pose, Ardha Matsyendrasana, which is probably the pose that is most often, it's most often misaligned. And when we misalign ourselves in twists, we can create problems for our neck and our shoulders, and we also lose the opportunity to squeeze out the intervertebral discs in our thoracic spine. That's just on the physical level. Twists energetically allow us to move the heart and to see things from a different perspective. So we want to be able to maintain that ability to twist. In order to twist, you always have to have two things. You need to have your sits bones grounded or your legs grounded. You need to have grounding, equal grounding. That means your hips are also equal. So you have to have equal hips. Whether you're on your hands and knees doing thread the needle, whether you're doing revolving side flank pose, whether you're doing revolving triangle, or whether you're doing Ardha Matsyendrasana, which we're going to do in a moment, you always want to have equal grounding and equal level of your hips. The other thing that's essential in a twist is you need to have a back bend. If your back is not in a back bend, you'll just lift your head and turn your head and get your hips off balance. So you want to have a back bend with your chest up, and then you want to be able to turn your chest. That way you can squeeze out the thoracic spine. The thoracic spine is where the twist primarily takes place. All right? So let's work on doing Ardha Matsyendrasana. All right, so Ardha Matsyendrasana, you're going to sit and you're going to extend your legs. Now we want to find a back bend, right? So that means that you got to bring your tailbone back. No round back. So you're going to bend your knee and put your right foot inside of your left ankle. You're going to interlace your fingers around your shin and you're going to isometrically pull your shin towards you and bring your tailbone back. You can't lift your chest unless your tailbone and your pelvis goes back, okay? So once you have that, then you're going to be able to do your twist, but you have to make sure that you're equally grounded. That means the knee that is bent, you're not leaning to that side, you're actually relaxing that hip down so it's grounded. Now, most people will want to do the full variation of this pose, which is the knee bent and the foot outside, but notice what happens to my hip when I do that. My hip is off the ground. So I want to be in a position where I can actually have my sits bone down so my spine can lengthen and my hips can be level. Once I have my back bend, I can take my shin with my elbow, and this is a key part. People will turn their head first. As soon as you turn your head, see, I've lost my back bend. I've also popped my chin out, and I'm not really twisting. I'm just doing a hunched forward fold. So I got to keep my chest up, and I got to keep looking forward. I engage my foot like I'm standing, and I pull my hip away from my ankle, and I turn my ribs back, and I lift, and I turn my ribs back. And it's good to do at least 3 times. And then I turn my shoulders, my neck, my head, and my eyes last. And I bring my hand back last. Don't bring your hand back first. Don't turn your head first. It's very hard in class. People will always turn their head. See if you can look forward for at least 3 breaths while you turn your core and let your chest get a chance to turn. When you come out of the pose, it's just as important coming out of a pose as going into a pose. You turn your chest and let your head come back. And then you can do the other side. Okay? So that's key in the twist, the equal grounding and the chest lifting. So when you do that, what happens to your spine is the same thing that happens to a face cloth if you twist it. It gets shorter. So you turn that chest, which is the primary motion of the thoracic spine is twisting, the intervertebral discs get squeezed out. And then when you release the twist, they expand again. When the intervertebral discs expand, they absorb fresh blood and oxygen from the surrounding tissue. This is the primary way that your spine stays healthy, is the intervertebral discs contract and expand. Contract and expand. Whether it's in back bends or forward bends, twists or lateral bends, that's what we're doing. We're contracting and expanding the intervertebral discs. Up until 25, you have a blood supply to those discs. After 25, we need to move the spine and move the body to keep the spine healthy. Hard up, equal grounding, and enjoy your twists.